My ex used me to pay $78,000 in tuition, then called me pathetic after graduation, but I had one move quietly flipped her world into a living nightmare. I'm 33, male, generally a low-drama guy. I own a plumbing business, a decent condo in a middle-class neighborhood, regular life, nothing fancy, but uncomfortable and financially stable. I've always been methodical about money, budgeting, investments, emergency funds. My dad taught me early, track every dollar or watch them all disappear. Solid advice that served me well. When my fiancée Megan, 29 female, got into pharmacy school 6 years into our relationship, we had just gotten engaged at the time. We both saw it as our big break. Wedding plan for 1 month after graduation. Honeymoon deposits paid for Cabo. Future mapped out with a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, then reality hit. PharmD program costs were insane. $34,000 per year for 4 years, plus books, fees, and living expenses. Her scholarships covered maybe 15%. Despite her parents constantly name-dropping their connections and status in the medical community, truth was they were barely making ends meet themselves, but were obsessed with appearances and social climbing. Her dad drove a leased car he couldn't afford, and her mom was constantly just about to land some big real estate deal that never materialized. They lived in a house that was mortgaged to the hilt through lavish dinner parties with expensive catering, then quietly ate ramen for the next 2 weeks to recover financially. Complete financial disaster masked by designer clothes and social media posts. I stepped up. My plumbing business plus weekend emergency calls meant I could cover most of her expenses. 60-hour weeks for me, sometimes 70 when big commercial jobs came in. I'd wake up at 4:30 a.m., be on site by 6, work until 6 p.m., then take emergency calls until midnight some days. The money was good, but the grind was brutal. She called it our future investment when asking for money, and I tracked every transfer like the spreadsheet guy I am. This wasn't charity. Megan constantly texted things like, first big pharmacy check, paying you back every dollar with interest, then upgrading our wedding venue. I save those texts, not from distrust, but because I'm meticulous with money. Always have been. I still remember the night I made the decision to cash out my IRA to cover her third-year tuition, $26,000 plus the early withdrawal penalty. We were sitting on my balcony and she was crying about potentially having to drop out. I can't ask you to do that, she said, while very clearly asking me to do exactly that. It's an investment in us, I told her. Just remember this when you're making the big bucks. I'll pay back every cent with interest, she promised, suddenly brightening. Pharmacists at Metropolitan Hospital started $120,000. We'll be set. 2 days later, the money was in her tuition account. I skipped my buddy's destination wedding in Cancun that same month. Couldn't afford both. When Megan asked why I wasn't going, I just said I had deadlines. No point making her feel bad about a decision I'd made. Every semester followed the same pattern. Megan would send links to her tuition portal. I'd transfer $17,000. She'd promise repayment with detailed plans of our future. 4 years of this, about $78,000 total. Countless 70-hour weeks for me, 0 vacations, endless sorry, can't make it, got an emergency call. Meanwhile, her Instagram was full of study breaks at upscale restaurants with her pharmacy school friends, weekend trips to her parents' vacation home, and posts about how self-care is essential during school. Funny how her self-care always involved spending money while mine involved making it. My best friend Ronnie saw through it early. We were shooting pool at our usual bar when he finally said what I didn't want to hear. Dude, you realize you've spent more on her school than your truck, condo, down payment, and retirement combined? He said, lining up a shot. Meanwhile, she's posting Instagram stories from weekend trips with her pharmacy girls. It's an investment, I insisted. Once she's licensed, we're set. Ronnie sank the 8-ball and looked at me dead on. Just saying, I've never seen her post about how great you are for funding her future. Lot of posts about those Tiffany earrings her parents got her though. I brushed him off. Ronnie's always been cynical. Divorced parents, 3 failed engagements, and a job as a divorce attorney that only reinforced his views on relationships. The guy literally makes his living from failed marriages, so, of course, he sees red flags everywhere. Still, his comments stuck with me. Just keep the receipts, he said, ordering another round, and maybe stop turning down emergency calls to go to her family dinners when they still treat you like the help. I rolled my eyes, but followed his advice on the receipts, the emergency calls thing too. Eventually, Dom, my business partner, noticed the hours I was putting in. We'd started the plumbing company right out of trade school, built it from nothing to 15 employees and a solid reputation in our city. He knew something was off when I missed our quarterly business planning session, first time in 7 years. Everything okay with you and Megan? Haven't seen her at our company barbecues lately? He asked, leaning against our service van while we waited for parts. She's busy with rotations, I explained. Final year is intense. Dom nodded, but I caught the look. He'd been through something similar with his ex. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself too, man. Business is booming, but you look like when's the last time you slept more than 5 hours? I couldn't remember. Between emergency calls, regular jobs, and driving to Megan's campus to bring her dinner during late study sessions, sleep had become optional. But we were so close to the finish line. 4 years of investment was about to pay off. Just a few more months of grinding, then she'd graduate. We'd get married and life would finally start. I should have seen the warning signs. Megan stopped talking about our future around year 3. Stopped mentioning repayment plans. Started referring to my career instead of our investment. Began spending more time with her pharmacy school friends and less with me. But I chalked it up to the stress of her final rotations and board prep. I was too busy working to notice she was pulling away. 1 month before graduation, 5 weeks before our wedding, Megan hit me with the, "I need space to focus on finals and boards" talk. Said she needed to temporarily move back to her parents' place. Made sense, I guess. Pharmacy boards are brutal. I helped move some of her things. Told myself this was temporary. Even ordered a study gift basket to be delivered to her parents' house, $200 worth of high-end snacks, energy drinks, and a new set of highlighters in her favorite colors. The note read, "You've got this. Homestretch." Then came the text that changed everything. 3 days after graduation. "Hey, just wanted to say thanks for paying my PharmD tuition. My new man, Tony, thinks you're pathetic for investing in a woman clearly out of your league. Thanks for the free education. Enjoy your sad little life. LOL." I stared at my phone feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The winky emoji, the LOL, the clearly out of your league comment. She wasn't just dumping me a month before our wedding. She was mocking me for financing her entire professional future. I checked her Instagram. There she was, arms wrapped around some guy in a tailored suit. Caption, "Upgrade complete. Hashtag Barbach, hashtag PharmD, hashtag Busin." My first instinct was to drive to her parents' house. My second calmer thought was strategy. I've never been the type to lose my cool. Not when a contractor tried to screw us on a major job, not when a client refused to pay a $20,000 invoice, not even when my truck was stolen last year. I take my time, assess the situation, and execute a plan. I typed, "You're welcome." Then I started cataloging my records. Instead of losing it, I spent a full weekend gathering evidence. Bank transfers to Megan labeled PharmD tuition, cashier, Savier's checks to her university, screenshots of text exchanges discussing the loan arrangement, email threads about repayment plans. The total, $78,346.27. Every cent accounted for. I created a spreadsheet tracking each payment with dates, confirmation numbers, and corresponding promises from Megan. I didn't have a signed loan agreement, but I had over 20 separate text and email threads where she promised to repay me in full with interest. I printed bank statements, highlighted the transfers, and organized them chronologically in a binder. I even had witnesses. Ronnie had heard Megan promise repayment multiple times, and she'd mentioned it to Dom at our company Christmas party last year. One text from her 3rd year stood out. "Megan, OMG, babe, you are literally saving my life. That $17,000 for this semester just cleared. I promise on everything I love, I'll pay you back every penny with interest when I'm making a $120,000 as a clinical pharmacist. You're investing in us. Me, I know we're a team. Our future." Megan, exactly. Partners in everything. Once I'm licensed, we're upgrading your whole life. New truck, maybe even move to a better neighborhood. Your plumbing grind is almost over. Looking back at that text now, I realized she'd been planning her exit for years. The comment wasn't about me retiring early. It was about her trading up once she had the credentials. I was just the stepping stone, the sucker who funded her ascension while she looked for someone better. I called Ronnie immediately. "She dumped you?" He didn't sound surprised, just resigned. "Worse," I said. "She texted to thank me for paying her way through school. Said her new rich boyfriend thinks I'm pathetic." A long pause. "Tell me you kept the receipts, Caleb." "Every single one. Send me everything. I'm calling in a favor with Patricia at Westbrook Legal. She specializes in debt recovery." Armed with a comprehensive file of evidence, I drafted an email. Professional. Cold. Precise. Subject, outstanding financial obligations for PharmD program. Body, Megan. Following your recent text, I'm writing about repayment of the $78,346.27 I provided for your PharmD program, which we repeatedly agreed you would repay in full. Given your recent graduation, please provide your repayment proposal within 5 days. Otherwise, I'll pursue formal debt recovery options. Regards, Caleb. I attached a detailed spreadsheet of every payment with dates, confirmation numbers, and corresponding text promises. The ball was in her court. Let's see what Tony the rich man thought about inheriting a $78,000 debt along with his new girlfriend. 4 days later, Megan called practically shrieking. "Are you actually insane? Hello, Megan? I take it you received my email. That money was obviously a gift. You were my fiancé. That's what men do when they love someone. They support their future wife's dreams. You never once said I had to pay it back." Classic gaslighting. This from the woman who had literally texted me, "I'll pay you back every penny with interest at least 24 times over 4 years. Actually, Megan, we discussed repayment at least 24 times. I have multiple texts, emails, and witnesses who heard you explicitly promise to repay every dollar with interest. You're just pathetic and jealous. Tony makes 3 times what you do at his investment firm. He said your little email is basically extortion, and he's talking to his family's lawyer about it. Requesting repayment of a documented financial agreement isn't extortion, Megan, and I'm sure Tony, as an investment professional, understands loans and obligations. His opinion, however, is irrelevant to our agreement." She hung up. 3 hours later, her father called. "What kind of sick game are you playing trying to extort money from my daughter after breaking her heart?" "Wait, what?" "Mr. Wilson, I provided Megan substantial financial support under an explicit agreement she would repay it, and I didn't break anyone's heart. She ended our engagement via text 3 days after graduation. That's not what she told us. Regardless, Tony comes from an excellent family with significant resources. They don't need your working-class money. Drop this vindictive crusade immediately." He hung up before I could respond. It sounded like they were banking heavily on Tony's wealth, perhaps more than he was aware of. It was like entering the Twilight Zone. According to Megan and her family, I was now the villain, the jealous ex trying to extort money from an innocent woman. Unbelievable. Then a series of Instagram DMs from Megan's cousin Heather. Wow. Real small man energy trying to ruin Megan's life because she finally found someone worthy of her. So desperate and creepy. Tony's family has connections that can end you. The alternate reality they were living in was staggering. Megan then emailed, "Fine. I'll give you $5,000 to go away. One-time offer. Take it or leave it. I'm being extremely generous considering you offered to help me through school. $5,000 on a $78,000 debt? Delusional. That's like offering to pay off your mortgage with a Starbucks gift card." The next day my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this the guy who used to date Megan?" A male voice dripping with practiced condescension. "Who's asking?" "Tony, look, I understand you're upset about Megan choosing me, but this sad attempt at extorting money from her is just pitiful. Interesting perspective. My family manages 9 figures. I drive something that costs more than your yearly paycheck. So you're calling to pay her debt then?" I kept my voice neutral. There was a pause. "What? That's not. I'm telling you to back off as a curtsy. A curtsy that doesn't actually solve the problem." "Got it. Look." His voice lowered suddenly, less certain. "Megan's having a hard time with this. She's mentioned some things about the amount. $78,000, every penny documented, plus interest? Jesus Christ," I heard him exhale. "That's ridiculous. No way she owes. I have documentation for every dollar, texts, emails, witnesses. Would you like me to send you the file? Maybe you could review it given your financial expertise." Silence. "Or you could pay it," I continued, "since you just mentioned your family portfolio." "That's not my responsibility," he snapped, facade completely gone. "So you're calling to what exactly? Flex your wealth while simultaneously refusing to use it? Very helpful, Tony. Listen, you little know. You listen. I have a documented agreement with Megan. Your family's portfolio is irrelevant unless you're putting it behind her. If you'd like to pay your debt, I'll send wiring instructions. Otherwise, we have nothing to discuss." "You think you're so clever?" he hissed. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Actually, I think I do." Exactly what I expected. I hung up. The call confirmed everything. Tony talked big, but wasn't about to drop $78,000 on Megan's pre-relationship debt. His carefully constructed image had cracked in under 2 minutes. All show, no substance. The kind of guy who brags about his daddy's money, but mysteriously can't pick up the check when it arrives. I forwarded Megan's email to Ronnie, who replied within minutes, "They think you're bluffing. Rich people always think the rules don't apply to them. Time to show your cards." I responded to Megan, $5,000 for a debt of $78,346.27 is neither reasonable nor reflective of our numerous documented agreements. Given your PharmD credential and earning potential, which you frequently cited while discussing repayment, I'm open to a structured repayment plan. If we can't reach an agreement within 7 days, I'll pursue legal remedies. This may include actions affecting your credit score and potentially trigger a character and fitness review. The pharmacy board review point was something Ronnie discovered. Character and fitness reviews are standard for professionals handling controlled substances. Financial impropriety, especially breaking explicit financial agreements, can trigger investigations. Not that I wanted to harm her career, but she needed to understand the potential consequences of her actions. I researched further and found a recent case in reapplication of Jessica Torres, where the State Pharmacy Board had delayed a new graduate's license for 6 months pending review of financial misconduct allegations. I attached the case summary to my email. 7 business days passed. Nothing from Megan. Instead, I received a certified letter from Blackwell Richardson and Associates, attorneys at law. Pure intimidation tactics, claims that my baseless allegations, gifts freely given, and harassment constituted malicious interference with career prospects. They demanded I cease all communication or face significant legal consequences. Ronnie laughed when I showed him. They hired the expensive threatening letterhead guy. Classic move when you're full of it but want to scare someone off. I took their letter and my evidence file to Patricia, a debt recovery specialist recommended by a colleague. She reviewed everything thoroughly, spent 2 hours going through my documentation, occasionally nodding or making notes. Your documentation is impeccable, she said. Their letter is primarily intimidation with minimal substance. Their threats against you are largely unenforceable. She drafted a formal demand letter. It gave Megan 21 days to pay in full or agree to a reasonable repayment plan. Otherwise, civil proceedings would commence. The letter was direct, citing specific legal precedents and outlining the strength of my position. No bluffing, no intimidation, just cold hard facts. 3 days after the letter was delivered, I got a call from my business phone service. My stomach dropped when I saw the number. "Can you come to the office?" asked Janet, who handles our customer service. When I arrived, she looked uncomfortable. "We've received a complaint about you using business resources to harass a former partner." "What?" She slid a printout across the desk, emails from my work account to Megan, but they were edited with key parts about repayment removed to make it look like I was just angry about being dumped. "These have been altered," I said immediately. "I have the originals and can prove it." Janet looked relieved. I suspected something was off. The complaint came from someone who doesn't even use our services, a Mr. Wilson. He's demanding we terminate your business license for harassment conducted during business hours. I showed Janet the complete email thread from my personal account, the documented payment history, and Megan's original text. "Jesus," she muttered. "They're really trying to get you shut down over this, apparently. Well, this complaint is dismissed. And I'd suggest keeping all correspondence with these people. They seem problematic." That night, I told Ronnie about the complaint. "They're getting desperate," he said, taking a swig of his soda. "They tried intimidation, then bribery. Now they're trying to mess with your livelihood." "What's next?" "Claiming you were abusive." His words turned out to be prophetic. The next day, I received an email from one of our major commercial clients, a property management company that used our services exclusively for 15 buildings. "We've received concerning information about potential legal issues involving your company. Can you please clarify the situation regarding harassment allegations?" Someone had reached out to my clients. This was crossing a line. I immediately called the property manager, explained the situation truthfully, and offered to show him the documentation. He sighed. "Look, I figured it was BS. The email came from some random Gmail account claiming to be a concerned citizen. I know you. You're not the type, but I had to ask." "I appreciate that," I said. "There's an ongoing financial dispute with my ex-fiancée. She's attempting to avoid repaying a significant loan by creating diversions." "Been there," he said dryly. "Ex-wife tried to get me fired during our divorce. Keep doing quality work and we're good." Crisis averted, but I was furious. They were now actively trying to destroy my business reputation to avoid paying a legitimate debt. This wasn't just about money anymore, it was about principle. A mutual friend from college, Tara, reached out. She'd heard contradicting stories. I showed her the actual text from Megan in my evidence file. "Jesus, that's cold," she said. "About Tony, he does have family money, but he's notorious for being controlling with it. His last girlfriend had to account for every dollar he invested in their relationship. Unless it makes him look good socially, I seriously doubt he's eager to cover her pre-existing debts." That confirmed my suspicion that Megan and her parents were grossly overestimating Tony's willingness to bankroll her financial messes. They thought they'd found a golden ticket, but in reality, they just traded one financial obligation for another more controlling one. Tara offered another insight. Tony's dad cut his trust fund last year. He talks big, but his wallet doesn't always back it up. After my lawyer's letter arrived, I received an email from a different attorney, Jennifer Sanderson at Greystone Legal Partners. This one had a different tone. "Miss Wilson wishes to address this matter discreetly, concerned about professional ramifications." And then the insulting offer without any admission of liability, a one-time settlement payment of $15,000. $15,000 on a $78,000 debt? After that text? Offensive. That's like crashing someone's new Tesla and offering to pay for a car wash. I forwarded it to Ronnie, who replied, "The rich boyfriend probably said not my problem, and now they're scrambling. Hold the line." I was about to reply when Dom, my business partner, pulled me aside at our shop. "I just got off the phone with someone claiming to be your ex's lawyer," he said, looking concerned. "They're saying they're going to file a restraining order against you for workplace harassment, something about you stalking her at her job." My blood ran cold. "That's completely false. I haven't been anywhere near her." Dom nodded. "I figured, but they're saying they have a witness who saw your work truck parked outside her pharmacy last week. They're threatening to contact our clients about having an unstable plumber on projects. I was in Denver last week for the plumbing convention. The whole crew saw me there." "Good. I've got your back on this, but document everything with these people. They're playing dirty." That night, I met Ronnie at our usual bar. I was beyond angry. "They're trying to destroy my reputation," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "False business complaints? Fake stalking allegations? What the hell?" Ronnie set down his drink. "They're trying to make defending yourself more trouble than it's worth. Classic abuser tactic, Darvo. They know they're wrong, so they're trying to make you the villain." "I just wanted what's mine. And that's exactly what you're going to get," Ronnie said firmly. "This just proves they know they'll lose in court. They wouldn't be fighting this dirty otherwise." I replied to Ms. Sanderson, "Your client's offer of $15,000 against a $78,346.27 debt is rejected. Ms. Wilson's current anxiety stems from her decision to renege on clearly established financial commitments," followed by her taunting message. "Additionally, I'm aware of false complaints made to my business and fabricated stalking allegations. These constitute defamation and potential criminal false reporting. My terms haven't changed. Full amount, interest, 21 days. Otherwise, I'll file a civil claim and report all false allegations to appropriate authorities attaching proof of my Denver trip, including hotel receipts, convention badge photos, and multiple witnesses who could verify my whereabouts. Let them try to claim I was stalking her while physically in another state." A week before the 21-day deadline expired, I received an email from Jennifer. After further consideration, Ms. Wilson proposes a structured settlement of $45,000 to be paid over 6 years without interest. This represents a substantial portion of the claimed amount and offers a reasonable resolution to avoid protracted legal proceedings for both parties. Permit was a gift to here's $45,000 progress, but still significantly short. No interest despite explicit promises and a 6-year term was unacceptable. I consulted Patricia. Her assessment: they know they're in a weak position. The increment from $15,000 to $45,000 in 1 week tells me they're expecting to pay the full amount eventually. Stand firm. I replied to Ms. Sanderson. The offer is insufficient. My position is non-negotiable. Full principal of $78,346.27. Standard interest at market rate, 36-month maximum repayment, acceleration clause for missed payments. These terms align with Ms. Wilson's own commitments. I've now documented multiple attempts to harm my business and reputation through false claims. Any further such actions will be addressed in court. You have 5 business days to accept these terms. 5 tense days. Complete silence. I prepared court filings with Patricia. We were ready to file the moment the deadline passed. At 4:52 p.m., on the final day, an email arrived. Following consultation with our client, we conditionally accept the core terms. Principals, $78,346.27. Interest fixed 5% from graduation date. Repayment period 36 months. Acceleration clause with 10-day cure period. Conditional upon confidentiality provisions. The fundamental demands were accepted. They knew they couldn't win. All the posturing, threats, and manipulations had failed. I replied, "The proposed terms are acceptable pending review of the draft agreement. Please forward documentation." A week later, I signed the final agreement. Megan had refused to be present for the signing, sending her lawyer instead. Fine by me, I had no desire to see her either. Tara informed me. Megan passed her pharmacy boards. Tony, the wealthy new man, was reportedly furious about the financial drama and had refused to get involved, making it clear her debts were her problem. Megan hadn't secured the prestigious hospital position she boasted about. Instead, taking a retail pharmacy job at a grocery store chain. The settlement would require approximately $2,350 monthly after taxes on top of her own federal student loans and living expenses. Her parents and cousins suddenly unavailable for comment. No more threats about ending me or lectures about how I wasn't worthy of their daughter. Amazing how quickly they disappeared once the bluff was called. It's been 14 months. The settlement agreement is legally binding. $78,346.27 principal, 5% fixed interest, 36 months, $2,350 monthly payment. Megan has made every payment. 14 down, 22 to go. Always exactly on the final day before default. My plumbing business has expanded to a second location. We expanded fast, added new vans, hired techs, and picked up a retiring firm's clients. I even took my first real vacation in 5 years, 2 weeks in Hawaii, completely off-grid. No emergency calls, no spreadsheets, just beaches and hiking trails. I've restored my retirement accounts, made some solid investments in rental properties, and even started a small side business handling commercial property maintenance contracts. Turns out I didn't need Megan's pharmacy salary to build a successful future. I just needed to stop bankrolling someone else's. What about Megan? According to Tara, Tony left her 3 months after the settlement was signed. His parting comment at a mutual friend's dinner party: "I'm not interested in subsidizing someone else's financial train wreck." So much for her meal ticket. Her career: retail pharmacy at a suburban grocery chain, overnight shifts and weekend rotations. Not the clinical hospital position with 6-figure guaranteed advancement she'd planned on. Now she lives in a 1-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Her parents, who once pretended to have connections despite barely making rent themselves, quietly cut ties once Tony bailed and the lawsuit landed. Then just when I thought it was over, things took an unexpected turn. About 5 months into the payment plan, I noticed small things: a missed call at 2 a.m. from a blocked number, no voicemail. Then another the next night. A week later, I found a coffee cup from our old favorite cafe sitting on my car hood in the morning. Nothing else, just the cup. 2 days after that, a delivery of lilies showed up at my door with no card. When I called the florist, they confirmed a woman matching Megan's description had paid cash. I installed a doorbell cam, caught her circling my building 3 nights straight at 3 a.m., just walking around the parking lot, sometimes stopping to stare up at my unit. I showed Ronnie the videos. "This is getting into restraining order territory," he said, frowning. "She's losing it." Then the text started from different unknown numbers, always late at night. "Do you think about us? I made a mistake. We should talk. You can't ignore me forever." I never responded, just documented everything. Added each new number to my block list, saved screenshots, and forwarded everything to Patricia. This wasn't just uncomfortable, it was escalating into something potentially messed up. 3 months ago, it escalated. Megan showed up at my condo building at 11 p.m. on a Friday. Security footage showed her pacing outside for 20 minutes before somehow convincing a resident to let her in. She was visibly agitated, hands shaking as she pounded on my door. Thankfully, my building has solid security cameras. I opened the door, but stayed firmly in the doorway. "What are you doing here, Megan? We need to talk." Her eyes were red. "This payment plan is destroying me. I can't live like this anymore." "That sounds like exactly what a loan repayment is supposed to be: your responsibility. I'm begging you." She started crying. "Lower the payments, extend the term, something, anything." For a split second, I almost felt a twinge of sympathy. Then I remembered the business complaint, the fake stalking allegations, the attempt to destroy my reputation. "The agreement stands," I said. "Leave or I'll call the police." Her expression shifted instantly. "You think you're so smart?" she hissed, trying to push past me into my apartment. "You think you've won?" I blocked the doorway. "Leave now, Megan. I'll tell everyone you abused me. I'll say you threatened me into signing that agreement. I'll go to your clients and tell them you're stalking me." Who do you think they'll believe? The pretty pharmacist or the dirty plumber? And there it was, the mask completely off, revealing the same person who sent that text. "Every word of this conversation is being recorded," I said quietly, "by building security and by me. I've documented every drive-by, every anonymous text, every flower delivery." "You're not the victim here, Megan?" She blinked momentarily, thrown off balance. "You said I was pathetic for investing in you," I continued, my voice perfectly level. "Turns out I was just early to the liquidation." She tried accessing my unit 3 more times that weekend. Security caught all of it. The following Tuesday, she appeared at my workplace, creating a scene in the shop until my employees removed her. She was ranting about how I'd ruined her life and stolen her future. My office manager, Angela, recorded the whole thing on her phone while Dom called the police. By the time they arrived, she'd already left, but the damage was done. My employees were shaken. I had to call an emergency meeting to explain the situation minus the embarrassing personal details. Just that my ex owed me money, was refusing to pay, and was now harassing me. They were supportive, but I could see the concern in their faces. This wasn't just affecting me anymore. It was affecting my business and my team. Ronnie didn't mince words. "Get a restraining order yesterday. This isn't about money anymore. She's unhinged." Patricia helped me file for a temporary restraining order, which was granted based on the security footage, workplace incident, and threatening text messages Megan had been sending. You'll regret this and I know where you sleep. 2 weeks later, the judge made it permanent for 1 year, citing Megan's concerning pattern of escalation and inability to respect boundaries. The restraining order includes provisions that our only communication must be through our respective attorneys regarding the settlement payments. She's barred from coming within 500 feet of my home, workplace, or person. Any violation would result in potential criminal charges. The day after the restraining order was granted, her father called me again. This time, his tone completely different. I just want to understand what's happening with my daughter, he said, sounding tired and old. The restraining order, is it really necessary? Mr. Wilson, she showed up at my home at 11 p.m., tried to force her way inside and threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. Then she came to my business and created a scene that frightened my employees. What would you have done? Long silence. I don't know what's happened to her. She's not the person we raised. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. She's an adult who made choices. Now she's facing the consequences. I'm sorry it's affecting your family, but my priority has to be protecting myself and my business. I understand, he said quietly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry about all this. Too little, too late, but I appreciated the gesture. Life has actually improved dramatically since all this went down. I'm dating Lauren, a structural engineer I met through a client. She knows the outline of what happened. Her take, she sounds like a complete narcissist. You dodged artillery fire, not just a bullet. Thai food tonight? Simple, authentic, perfect. Lauren doesn't play games or send cryptic texts. She doesn't expect me to finance her life or solve all her problems. She's professionally successful, emotionally stable, and refreshingly direct. Ronnie's assessment was less diplomatic. You paid $78,000 to discover she was garbage before you married her. Cheapest divorce you'll never have. He's right. That money was ultimately the price of my freedom. Had I married Megan, the financial damage would have been far worse. Not to mention the emotional toll of being tied to someone who viewed me as nothing more than a stepping stone. About a month ago, I adopted a rescue dog, a 3-year-old German Shepherd mix named Rex. He's been loyal and protective with me. We go running every morning and he sleeps by my bedroom door at night. Best decision I've made in years. Rex was a police canine washout too friendly for the job according to his former handler, but his training makes him an excellent companion. He's disciplined, responsive, and has an uncanny ability to read people. The money from Megan's payments goes straight into an investment account. I'm actually planning to use it as seed funding for expanding the plumbing business with Dom next year. Turning her debt into my future success feels like poetic justice. There's something deeply satisfying about using the money that was supposed to fund her future to build mine instead. The most surprising development came from Megan's father. He approached me at a local coffee shop last week looking much older than I remembered. I owe you an apology, he said quietly. We believed what Megan told us about you. She's not well. She's seeing a therapist. I mean, it's long overdue. He handed me his card. If you ever need anything, please call. And thank you for not pressing charges over the stalking. You could have made things much worse for her. I didn't tell him that the restraining order was already the merciful option, that I had enough evidence for criminal charges of harassment, stalking, and false reporting that his daughter was lucky I'd chosen the least destructive path available. I just nodded and told him, I hope she gets the help she needs. And I meant it, not for her sake, but for anyone else who might cross her path in the future. As I left the coffee shop, I realized I no longer felt angry when I thought about Megan. Just a vague sense of pity mixed with relief that she was no longer my problem. The money was coming in according to the agreement, and that was all that mattered. Advice for anyone in a similar situation: document absolutely everything. Save texts, keep receipts, maintain witnesses, and when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Megan wanted me to enjoy my sad little life. LOL, I am. Weekly hikes with Rex, Thai dates with Lauren, and monthly bank transfers from my ex. Life's good. So that's what went down. Peace out.